Becky, and I can be found on Instagram and Ravelry as Becky Burns Gibson. Welcome to this podcast. Here I'd like to share with you my knitting life. I love to knit, and I like to keep several projects going at one time, as you'll see. So first we'll start with recently finished objects. So this is the 45-minute hat. I was given this pattern by a lady who works at Bliss Yarns in Brentwood. And she goes by Little Lake House on Ravelry. It's a 45-minute hat. It's a bulky weight yarn. And the yarn I bought at Bliss Yarn, I can't remember the name of the yarn, but I did buy it at Bliss Yarns, and it takes a size 13 needle. And I was able to finish it in approximately 45 minutes. So it's just a nice little hat. Next I have a hat that I knitted using my hand spun. And it's in nice shades of blue and purple and brown. And it's another 45-minute hat, except I added a pom-pom to it. And I finished this one in about 45 minutes. Okay, you'll see that I have a lot of hats. One recently finished hat I keep in my Victoria's Secret bag. It is a kit that I bought from Knit Picks, and the yarn is Knit Picks palette in 9 different colors. And I had a ton of yarn left over after this project. But this is the Andy and Chulo hat. And I'm almost finished with it. I need to add pom-poms on the top and off of the ear flaps. But it's just really, really pretty color work hat. And it took me quite some time to finish it. I still need to block it. They required an I-cord finish around the brim of the hat, but I don't like doing I-cords, so I just crocheted around the brim of the hat, and it looks nice. So up next, surprise, surprise, another hat. This is just a generic no pattern used hat. I did not knit a brim. I'm letting the brim roll on this one. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful yarn. I just couldn't wait to use it. I did buy it from Bliss Yarns in Brentwood. And it's just wonderful. It doesn't split at all. It's very spongy. And this yarn is Miss Babs Yowza Mini DK yarn. And the colorway is Tardy. Next, another hat. This is the Coping hat, and it was in a book, pattern book that I bought from Knit Picks. And I have knitted the brim of the hat. I'm using size 3 needles. They are Chigu red cable circular needles and a 16-inch. I enjoyed knitting the cable pattern in the brim. In fact, it called for 2 pattern repeats, and I did 4 to make a more substantial brim. But when I got to the part of the pattern where you knit the hat portion, the cable pattern repeat was just too difficult physically for me to do. So therefore I've decided to complete it with stockinette stitch. And this is my yarn. Isn't it beautiful? This yarn is Bay Horse yarn. Sock weight. It's in the Apple Harvest colorway. And it's 85% extra fine micron superwash merino and 15% nylon. Did I say the colorway was Apple Harvest? Surprise one last hat. This is my hand spun yarn, and I believe it's Paulworth yarn in the Baldur colorway. And I believe that I bought this fiber to spin up on yarn.com, which is the yarn.com is the URL for the web's website. See, I have very little done on this right now, but it is in stockinette stitch and it doesn't have a brim. It's just going to be a rolled brim, and I'm not using a pattern. I'm just doing a vanilla hat, and I'm using Chulo needles in a size 2, and they are the red cable lace needles in a size 16 length. Now we're moving on to shawls. This is the Makari Shawl, and it was purchased off of yarn.com as a kit. And it's no longer available, but you can get the you can still get the pattern off of Ravelry. You just can't get the kit anymore off of yarn.com. But it is just a beautiful pattern that is a lace and stripe repeat. I've been told that this reminds people of Indian corn. Now, if you look at the first lace repeat section, it's not done as nicely as the second and third lace section, because I got better at knitting lace over time. And this is the oldest project that I still have on the needles, and I still work on it often. It's going to be a really pretty shawl. The yarn that I'm using is just beautiful. It's in colorways Malcolm and Edna. This one's Malcolm and this one's Edna. And they are Lorna's Laces. Lorna's Laces Shepherd Sock, which is 80% superwash merino wool and 20% nylon. The needles that are this project are on are die-craft needles. They are the 6-inch die-craft needles in applewood. And die-craft needles really are as good as everyone says they are. They just make working on this project so much more pleasurable. And I got the lace tips. They just feel great in your hands, and the stitches slip over them so well. Okay, next we're going to move on to sweaters. In my Della-Q bag is a cardigan I'm making for my granddaughter. I am making this cardigan out of Kobu by Lion Brand in the colors beige, pale pink, and mauve. They are 51% cotton and 49% rayon, and I bought them at Walmart. And these three are all that I need to complete this cardigan in a size 2. This is how much I've got on it so far. It's just a garter stitch cardigan. And these are on my Addy Click bamboo needles. I do enjoy my Addy Click bamboo needles. They're good needles. They're not as long as my die craft needles, but they do very well. Moving on to the next sweater. This is also in a Lion Brand yarn. It's a Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick yarn. They have it at Walmart. That's where I first saw it, and I just fell in love with it. And I ended up having to go to Joann's to get as many skeins as I needed, because I needed 15 skeins to make my size. And Joann's often has boxes on the top shelf of yarn, and that's what I took advantage of. This is the Reading Room cardigan. It is a free pattern off of, is it lionbrand.com? I don't remember the URL, but it's Lion Brand's official website. This is a free download. And it also lets you calculate how many skeins of yarn you're going to need. But I have already used almost 2 skeins of yarn, and I have knitted a complete sleeve and part of the shoulder. And as you see, this is going, when this gets sewn together, it's just going to make a beautiful sleeve. And I'm knitting this on a size 13 needle. And they're Susan Bates needles. Okay, this next sweater is Let Go by Hoagie Locatelli. It is in the Interpretations Volume 3 book. Here is a picture of it. It's just a beautiful cabled sweater. And I chose the Miss Babs Killington DK yarn. It is 85% Polworth wool and 15% Tussa silk. And I bought this at Bliss Yarns in Brentwood. So here's my yarn. And I have 3 of these. And they're very large. They are 700 yards apiece. And I bought 3. And that's all that I'm going to need to complete this sweater. I have this sweater on my Addy Click shorty set in aluminum, and I like these very well. And this is what I've gotten done so far. Usually this is what I knit on when I take my daughter to the doctor's office. It's just going to be beautiful. Next I have a pair of gloves on the needles. They are the Gloves Up pattern, and the pattern is by the Apple Basket, and it is a free download off of Ravelry. And I am using size needle 3. I'm using double pointed needles. And they are the Yarnology needles, and I bought them at Hobby Lobby. I can find the yes, I have found the label. So the yarn I'm using is Zelana Kiwi, and it is 40% fine merino, 30% brushed tail possum, and 30% organic cotton. And I bought 2 balls of this from The Joy of Knitting in Franklin. And here it is. And here is as far as I've gotten. It's a 1x1 rib for the cuff. And I have a lot of socks going on. I like to have many different projects going on of socks because this is what I knit when I'm watching TV. Sometimes I like the feel of different yarns depending on what day it is. So the first skein of yarn that I want to talk about well, I can't find, oh, here it is. Yes, this is Regia Design Line by Arnie and Carlos. And it's in the colorway Fall. It is a 6-ply yarn. And it's 150 grams. And it is 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. When I first started using this yarn, I thought it was the best yarn I had ever used because it knits up so quickly, and it is rather pretty. It's very spongy, it doesn't split at all. And I am on my second sock. Here's my first sock. As you see, the fabric that it makes up is not really soft, and it's not really that beautiful. But if you're looking for a thick and quick sock, you can't go wrong with Regia Design Line by Arnie and Carlos 6-ply. And it makes such a pretty pattern repeat. As I said, I'm on my second sock. I'm using my Carbons needles, my Carbons double pointed needles in a size 3. Okay, my next sock is the Hermione's Everyday sock. It is a free download on Ravelry. Here's a picture of the completed sock. And the pattern makes a beautiful, very, very beautiful fabric. And I'm on the heel. I'm making the heel now. And this is the yarn that I'm using. It is Lorna's Laces Venetian Spring, and I believe that I ordered this off of yarn.com, which is webs, the URL for webs. This is 55% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 30% outlast. And it just is so soft, and it makes such a soft and beautiful fabric. This has quickly become my favorite yarn for socks. Lorna's Laces. I have a cotton shorties sock. I'm using Zauberball, Shopwool Zauberball cotton yarn, and it's purple and green. It's just beautiful. I bought this at the Joy of Knitting in Brentwood. And I'm just making a vanilla sock, the shorty sock. And I started with 2x2 ribbing, and I'm using a 1.5 size US 1.5 double pointed needles, the Carbons needles, and I'm enjoying making that. I cannot seem to find the label for this pair of socks. I cannot remember the name of it. But I bought it on yarn.com. Oh, here's the label. Okay. Yes, it is Lana Grossa Melonvite. And it's 100 gram skein. It's 80% virgin wool and 20% polyamide. And it is the colorway Peak. It is a beautiful self-striping yarn. And I just like the way it stripes. It's just beautiful. It's probably my second favorite yarn to do a sock out of. It is not as thick as the Arnie and Carlos 6-ply yarn, but it is as spongy, and it does not split. Next, I have my oldest sock on the needles. This is a vanilla sock with a slip stitch heel. And this is a yarn that I purchased from Knit Picks. I can't remember the name of it, but I know that the colorway is Koi Pond. And it is just beautiful. It is just beautiful. It does split. The yarn does split. It's not very spongy. It's kind of flat. So it's not my favorite yarn to knit with, but it does make a beautiful sock. I'm using the double pointed needles from Knit Picks called Majestic Wood. This is a very beautiful needle. You can't appreciate it if you're knitting in a dimly lit place, but if you have plenty of light, oh, you can see such deep colors in these double pointed needles. And They're sort of blunt. I can't say that they're a joy to knit with, but they are a beautiful needle if you enjoy beautiful knitting accessories. The last sock that I have on the needles, I have just began. I'm using the Line brand Mani Petty yarn, and I got this online on Joann.com, and the colorway is Crew. It's 215 yards. It's 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide. And this is supposed to have lotion in the yarn. So you're supposed to get soft hands as you're working with it. I love the yarn. I think the colors are just bright and beautiful. I am using, my needles are Takumi clover needles in a size number 1. I don't enjoy these needles very much. They are very light and they feel like toothpicks. They feel like you could snap them easily. So I may take this out and start this sock on a different set of needles. I'm not sure. But that is the last sock and the last work in progress that I have. I hope that you enjoyed watching a little bit about my knitting life. In the future, I'd like to show you what my future knitting plans are, so be looking for that video. If you like what you've seen today, please click the like button, please subscribe, and please share the video. Thank you, and until next time, bye.